Hi everyone, this is Harry, Senior Editor at Good Novel.
And Cici here. Welcome to our first podcast episode of Good Novel Academy. We're going to share with you some useful tips on novel writing.
In this episode, we will teach you how to build up a story from zero and start from the fundamentals.
Yes, fundamentals. I really need that. You know what, Harry? I was trying to write my own story.
Oh really? How is it going?
Well, not very smooth, I have to say. Like every time I try to write, I find my mind crowded with ideas, but I don't know how to select and organize them and use them to make my story. It's like I often sit in front of my laptop for hours and keep repeating the same cycle of writing and deleting. Oh, well, this is really frustrating. Is it that I have no talent at all?
No, of course not. This is actually a very common situation for beginners, what we called the beginner's block. To overcome this, you will need to learn some plotting strategies to organize your thoughts and understand what you really want to write.
Okay, so what's your strategies?
First of all, we start with answering this very important question. What's the value you want to deliver to your readers?
What do you mean by value?
In your story, you want to tell your readers a message, which can be an idea you believe true, an argument you want to defend, or an observation that applies to everybody. This message is what we call value.
Okay, but that's a little bit abstract. I don't know what value I want to tell my readers. I just want to write a love story, a romantic and very cool one, like with werewolves, handsome lights, and boom, bam, big explosions. Things like that.
Didn't know you have this side.
You bet.
Well, if you are to write a story, you will need to come up with your message. Every story has a message. It's a big idea the writers want to convey.
You sure? Every story? I really thought that.
Challenge accepted. Give me a story name.
Just any story?
Anyone.
What about The Lion King? It's been my favorite story since I was a kid.
Wow, classic. How do you like it?
Well, I feel like it's a very positive story with a happy ending. Every time I watch it, I feel relaxed.
Jesus, how many times did you watch it?
I don't know. I lost count long ago.
Okay. Anyways, can you tell me what the story is about? Like, give me an outline of it.
Sure. It's about a lion pup named Simba and his father, King Mufasa. And the king was murdered by his uncle Scar, who is the bad guy. And Simba was outcast, but luckily he was adopted by Pumbaa and Timon. And as time flew, Simba grew up to be an adult male lion and became very strong. And at last, Simba was back to the pack and successfully defeated Scar and avenged his father.
Wow, I'm impressed. You're really familiar with this story. Now, can you conclude the story with one sentence?
Excuse me? I thought you're the one being challenged. Why is me answering all those questions?
I don't mind the trivials. So whatever. Can you come up with a sentence to conclude the story? Like, the simpler, the better.
Fine. Simba defeats Scar, and the good wins, the bad punished. So it's justice overrides evil. Perhaps. Does this one fit your standard?
Bingo. See, it's not that hard. Justice overrides evil. Simple as it seems, it's the big idea that lies in the core of the story.
Alright. So the value of a story is the straightforward sentence, like slogan. War is bad. Love prevails. We need to protect the earth, right?
Yes, exactly. You're getting there.
No, but still, I don't understand why this value thing is so important.
Simply put, value helps set the tone of the story. For example, when you watch The Lion King, you feel this positive and heart-lightening emotion, right? Because it conveys a positive value. Justice prevails. But when you read another story, to say Hamlet, the famous Shakespeare tragedy, you get a completely different feeling.
And you're saying that's because the story has a negative value?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we all know that The Lion King was adapted from Hamlet. You can easily see the similarity between these two stories. Like Simba, Hamlet is also a prince, and his father was also brutally murdered by the uncle. And in the end, Hamlet avenged his father just like Simba did.
Yes, you're right. But Hamlet's value is not justice prevails. In Hamlet's path of revenge, he ruins everything and everyone dies in the end.
Exactly. What do you think is the value of Hamlet then?
I would say revenge destroys everyone, including the person seeking it.
Wonderful.
So, even though Hamlet and the Lion King share a same set of palette, but they come out to be completely different stories just because they convey different values?
Correct.
Oh, I think I'm getting there. But it's okay for different stories to share the same value. For example, justice prevails. That's the value of the Lion King, I know. But it also applies to, say, like Iron Man, Spider Man, and basically all those superhero stories.
Yes, you're right. Justice prevails. This is a very common value. And under this value, you can find loads of stories, like the superhero movies you're just talking about, and the cartoons of Disney, Harry Potter series, and detective stories like Sherlock Holmes. These stories, despite their different settings, characters, and plots, all end up with a similar ending, which is good guys win, bad guys lose.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm kind of bored of these hero stories, you know.
Right.
They're all the same. I mean, you read the first few chapters and you know the rest. Actually, I'm more into anti-hero stories like Joker.
Ah.
This story is much more unpredictable and more exciting.
Yeah, exactly. He's indeed a very charming villain.
He is. So, I guess that is the one-size-fits-all value that I'm getting sick of. If you read too many stories in which the good defeats the bad, you will find the reversed version interesting, in which the bad overwhelms the good.
Right. And that is why we have to first decide the value of the story. Different values can lead to completely different stories. Just imagine if Shakespeare started Hamlet with the value justice prevails. You should see a completely different story in which Hamlet defeats his villain uncle at the end of the story, and maybe as well marry Ophelia and lived happily ever after. But that would be another story, right? A more Disney-like story. And on the other hand, if The Lion King has a darker PG-18 value, like the hero that faced the dragon shall become the dragon himself, you as might see Simba, who killed Scar and avenged his father, became a supervillain himself. And everyone he once loved became his slave. So it would be like, Simba, the Dark Lord of the Grassland.
Oh, that's indeed very dark, Harry. You kind of ruined my childhood.
Okay, my bad. But you have to admit, it can be a very good story.
Well, that's true. Okay, now I understand the notion of value. It's the big idea. It's something we should set up at the very beginning.
Right.
So, for my love story, I want the value to be, let's say, true love is the most important thing in this world.
Ah, that's a classic one.
So, what's the next step?
Next up, we prove this value to be true. Let me ask you something, Cici. Do you know how to write a research paper?
Of course I do. I spent 4 years in college just writing papers. Okay, first I craft a thesis, and then I look for examples to support my thesis.
The same routine here applies to novel writing. What you need to do next is to design a cause. Take The Lion King again as our example. Can you use maybe one sentence to tell me why, in this story, justice prevails over evil?
In one sentence, okay. I think it's because Simba is smart and brave and has got support from his family and friends.
Perfect, you're my best student. This big cause clause is the cause of the value. Okay, that's a little bit twist. But yes, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So how does this cause help with my writing?
This course can help you to design the plot. It tells you what you must do in this story. With this clause, for example, Simba is smart, brave, and has got support. You will know that you have to showcase these traits in your storytelling, like what smart things will Simba do, what will be his brave deeds, who will be his allies, and how does he get all this support.
I get this. So my story is there to answer all these questions.
Yes, exactly. In this way, your writing is no longer in blindfold, but has a very clear objective.
Oh, this is indeed a very good strategy. Okay, to conclude what we have just discussed, the value of a story sets the general tone of it, while the cause justifies the value and sets a scheme to the plots.
Yes, cause is the guidance of your writing, and once you set it, you should better stick to it. Just say when Conan Doyle starts writing Sherlock Holmes series, the cause in his mind might be the detective is smarter than the criminals, right? That's why we find Holmes for most of the time in the story solve cases with his wits, not with his fists. But if readers read something like Sherlock Holmes grabbed a machine gun and shot the shit out of the criminals, the story would become like super weird and the readers would be like, what the, and just throw the book into the trash bin.
Okay, I'm that kind of reader who goes, what the?
Okay, just to wrap up. Every story has its value and cause. Combining these two sentences together, we get the theme of the story. The theme is usually a two-clause sentence connected by a big cause. Theme of the Lion King, as we have just discussed, is good triumphed over bad, because the protagonist is smart, brave, and held by his friends. The theme of the Hamlet is revenge destroys everything, because the protagonist's revenge leads to the death of everyone he loves. The theme of Sherlock Holmes, justice is being served, because the detective is smarter than the criminals. After you get in the theme, it can help you to set the basic tone and the style of the story and assist with the plot design.
Oh, we finally came to the topic of today, theme. I should be taking notes.
Okay, and now it's time to do some practice. Can you come up with a complete theme sentence for your romance story, like with both the value we were talking about and the cause?
Okay, I'll try. My value is true love is the most important thing in this world. And the cause would be because the protagonist is willing to sacrifice everything for her lover.
That's a very good cause. Now you have a lead in your writing and can start to think something like, why is she willing to sacrifice? What's her background story? Who is the one she's in love with? And what kind of things she is willing to sacrifice? And how, right? By answering these questions one by one, you will eventually come up with the entire outline of the story.
Shall we do this now? I'm just so ready.
Better not. It would be a little bit too much, as I said. We should do this one bite at a time. We shall leave the character design and plotting to future lessons, and for now, we focus on theme. So, Sissy, you have read lots of stories. Why don't we just analyze some of them and find their themes?
What a good idea.
Alright, let's begin with some classical romance story. How about Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice?
Seriously? It sounds like a book my mom would recommend. Okay, anyways, I'll try to summarize its plot in one sentence. Okay, Mr. Darcy, a man of high class who is very well educated, and Elizabeth, a girl from a low family. They both have prejudice against each other when they first met, but after going through a lot of things together, they get to know each other more deeply, and in the end, they fall in love and step into marriage.
Not bad. Now, what is the theme of the story?
I guess it's just like most love stories. True love prevails because it breaks hierarchy and overcomes pride and prejudice.
You're really getting good at it.
Thank you. But still, I'm not Jane Austen. I certainly don't know how to write classics. Their rankings are just too high for me. Instead, I'm more into popular fictions.
I don't think we should make this gap between the classics and pop fics. They are not different, they are both stories, and as stories, they share common schemes. And you can easily craft a pop fic using the same theme as Pride and Prejudice. We just have to do some slight adjustment in characters. For example, Mr. Darcy. He can be of a paranormal race like
Like a vampire.
yeah, exactly. And Elizabeth, still being an ordinary human girl. Now, in this new story, social status gap, check. Prejudice at first impression, check. Falling in love in the end, check. And what do you have got now? A vampire story.
A vampire story. Oh, wait. This setting somehow rings a bell. Is it Twilight?
Exactly. Now we can replace Darcy maybe with a CEO, and Elizabeth became a office lady and try to fit all the scheme into this new scheme. What do you got?
Wait a second here. What's the rating of our program?
I don't know.
Just say it. 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay. So the idea here is quite clear that themes can be universal, and pop fics nowadays are just classics in their new schemes.
Ah, I see. So, by analyzing classical literatures, we can find inspirations of our own writings. We can borrow a theme from those old stories and dress it with new elements like vampires, werewolves, CEOs, and etc.
Yes, that's why we have this old good writing advice. Good readers make good writers. A good writer always knows how to draw inspirations from predecessors and use the classic themes to construct new stories. But to do that, you will need to read a lot.
That's true, but that won't be hard for me. You know what? I'm thinking later maybe we can post analysis of classic stories in our Facebook group, Writing Good Novels, so that our good novelists can use them to guide their writings.
That's a brilliant idea. We should definitely do that.
Okay, so we have talked a lot about theme in today's episode. What theme is, and how it's formed, and why it's important, and how to analyze a story to find the theme of it.
And as promised, we have got homework for you.
Oh my god, homework! We're indeed a very serious academy.
Practice makes perfect. And don't worry, it's not hard at all. So this week's assignment is analyze the story of another classic of Shakespeare, which is Romeo and Juliet. Write an outline and find the theme to conclude the story.
And do remember the format. First, the value, with the big idea Romeo and Juliet conveys. And second, the cause, why this value stands out to be true.
Okay, so this is all for today's episode, and hope this been helpful to you, my dear good novelists. This is your host, Harry.
And Sissy.
Enjoy writing and may the muse be with you.
See you in next episode.
Bye bye.
Contact, don't say goodbye. Smell you later.
Nah, I can't. I don't wanna end the season on a bad episode, nigga.
I'm sending all things and you don't know how you fall. Your power is drained, so you cannot go through all. You're caught in this matrix, don't know where you play it. You made it to be your favorite. You make it your friend.
Are we still friends? Are we still friends? Are we still friends? Oh.